Troubleshooting is always an important part of network administration. Today, we're going to look at a fairly simple network problem, but one that we can easily misinterpret um, if we don't fully understand how our tools work. The tool that we're going to use today is the ping command. Um, in some cases, people use the traceroute command, but we're going to look at this from a little bit different perspective and think about how traffic flows through the network. The problem that we're faced with today is that users over at site 3, so we've got our loopback 1 interface on router 3 that represents our user network over on site 3. They can't access resources at site 1. We've represented that with the loopback 1 interface on router 1. So to troubleshoot that, absent the traceroute command, we can use the ping command to test reachability to different places in our network from our routers. For this exercise, we're going to assume that router 2 is configured correctly and that we've got some problem on router 1 and router 3. The networks that we're most concerned about are the 192.168.3.0/24 network and the 192.168.1.0/24 network. So we're actually going to test reachability to the 192.168.1.1 IP address from our Site 3 router to confirm what our users are reporting. Well, that's a bit odd. Our users are saying that they can't access resources over at Site 1, but I can ping the IP address over there. So that's a little bit odd. So what we may want to do is go back to router 1 and make sure that we can ping our resources or our network over at router 3. So this is odd to me. It seems that we can get traffic from router 3 to router 1, but not from router 1 to router 3. That's actually partially true. We're obviously having trouble getting traffic from router 1 over to 192.168.3.1, so we've got a problem there. Our users are probably telling us the truth, and we've got to figure out what's going on here. But let's think about what's actually happening and why we could actually ping successfully from router 3. So the quick answer here is that when we send traffic out using the ping command, by default it's actually going to use the IP address of the interface that it goes out. So when I was sending traffic to my loopback on router 1 and I was sending it from router 3, it was actually using the IP address of FA0/1 or Fast Ethernet 0/1 on router 3. So what we're really confirming here is that we're getting traffic between this F01 interface and loopback 1. Well, when our traffic was failing, we were sending traffic from router 1 to the loopback 1 interface on router 3, and that would be sourced from this IP address that's here, 10.1.1.2. So that, for some reason, doesn't seem to be reaching our router 3's loopback network. So if we take a look at the routes on our routers, So from router 3, show IP route, we can see that we've got a static route to 192.168.1.0. That's my loopback on router 1. That's good. We can see that we've got a static route to the network that connects router 1 to router 2. That's good. And then we see our other two directly connected networks. If we go do the same command on router 1, show IP route, we don't have a route to 192.168.3.0 or 3.1. So we've got a problem here. Router 1 doesn't know how to get traffic to router 3. So what this sort of looks like is what we're really needing to validate is traffic between 192.168.1.1 and 192.168.3.1. And the correct way to do that is actually using the source parameter and the ping command to indicate what IP address to send the traffic from. We were mistakenly sending the traffic from the FA0/1 interface of router 3, and we weren't actually performing a good test. So let's take a look at this before we actually resolve the issue. Let's go back to router 3. We'll do the ping command again, but this time let's do source loopback 1. So that is failing. Remember when we done that before without the source command, without the source parameter on the ping command, it actually succeeded. So now that we figured out a more valid test, let's go ahead and resolve this issue. So from router 1, we'll go ahead and configure the route. So we're saying anything that router 1 needs to access on 192.168.3.anything, go ahead and forward that over to router 2 at 10.1.1.1. Now we can see our route is there. We can go back to router 3. We can issue our ping command with the source loopback 1. It does seem to work. From router 1, we could do that. Seems to work as well. We've got routes everywhere. Router 1 has all the routes it's supposed to have. We've corrected the issue. Router 3 didn't have any issues in its routing table, and we were told from the start that router 2 we would just assume that it's configured correctly. So that's one of the things that we need to think about when we're sending traffic between 2 points in the network for testing purposes. We need to make sure that we're not only sending traffic to the correct destination, but that we're sourcing it from an address that's realistic for the test.